all your school rugby, all in one place. This is Next Gen 15.
Alright guys, welcome to Next Gen 15, and in this first ever video as Next Gen 15, we are going to be looking at the top 10 school rugby rivalries on the planet. So if you are new to the channel, please don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as bell notification, and as soon as new videos are released, you'll be the first to know. So let's get straight into it, no time to waste. In 10th place we have a very strong English derby, Wellington College versus Sedberg. And these are two of the best rugby schools, not only in England, but possibly the world. Recent history has seen Sedberg come on top, but definitely not with ease. Numerous internationals have been produced by the schools, and over 50 international English schools players have been produced between the schools. The fixture is one that everyone in England looks forward to seeing, and a must-see on the school's calendar. 9th place we have Christchurch Boys versus Christ College, a New Zealand derby, South Island. So in terms of the rivalry, most Kiwis will argue that the majority of talent is in the North Island, but none will argue that this is one of the fiercest rivalries in the country. Now these were the first boys-only schools in Canterbury and situated within 100 metres of each other. The first game was played in 1892, which Christ won 34-0. And since then, 136 games have been played, with Christchurch Boys leading with 84 wins against the 43 wins of Christ's. Over 60 All Blacks have been played in this fixture, and you can just see in the old boys on the left, guys. That's just a small sample of the amount of quality that has been on the field during the derby between these two schools. 8th place we have Nadi College versus Gregory Terrace, an Australian derby like no other. It's known as a battle of the colours, and it does not get much bigger than this. Now, thousands turn up to this event, and it has its roots when Gregory Terrace built a hostel that would later become known as Nadi College, and Nadi took the original colours with them. So although Nadi have proved dominant historically, they have 30 GPS titles to Gregory Terrace's 6. The matchup is always one in which both teams step up. Over 100 Australia schools internationals have played in this fixture, so you can just understand the quality that is on display when this game takes place. And then we have, at 7th place, Grey College versus Terrace, a proper South African derby. In terms of the rivalry, it's one of the most prominent fixtures in the South African school rugby calendar. Two Springbok factories in both schools' final season fixture, generally speaking. It only started in 1967, but despite the lack of history, you've got two of the best programs that compete across all age groups, with the results being very competitive. Grey lead the derby with 27 wins compared to the 8 by Terrace, and over 130 SA schools players and 100 Springboks have been produced between these two schools. Now, if there's one criticism from our side, it's just the problem with the fixture is that it clashes with the South African schools rugby fixtures. So what ends up happening is that 3 to 4 SA schools players from each school, which is generally what they produce, will end up missing for the final fixture of the season. So that might result in the quality being diminished slightly, and in our opinion, it did cost Terrace quite significantly in 2018 when they had some of their best players missing, for example, but it does affect Grey equally as well. We'd like to see the best of the best compete on the day, and hopefully this can be taken into consideration for future derbies, but take nothing away from it. This is one of the best derbies to watch. 6th place we have RKS versus Marist Brothers, and this is a proper Fijian derby over here. And like Fijian school rugby expert Alex Dawson has said, when RKS plays Marist Brothers, it's basically like lions versus hyenas. RKS play in the eastern zone while Marist Brothers compete in the southern zone. So basically what happens is the schools only meet in national playoffs, which means there's an added edge. The rivalry is not only about rugby. You have Catholic versus Methodist, working class versus upper class, city boys versus country boys. It has it all. Now, as you guys know, Fiji produces some unbelievable athletes, and a lot of them get lost to Europe and other sports such as rugby league. So do yourself a favour and keep a close eye on the Dean's Cup. A more physical and passionate competition, it's very hard to find. Moving on to 5th place, we have Presentation Brothers versus Christian Brothers, an Irish derby. Now, I know a lot of the Leinster fans might argue against this, but in terms of how we feel about it, this derby has it all. Cork sporting rivalries are well known, and this grudge match is amongst the biggest on the sporting calendar. Nearly 10,000 spectators turn up for the event between two schools that are less than 2 kilometres apart and only separated by a river. The two schools have been the most dominant in the Munster region, and that goes to show that there's only one trophy separating them in terms of the Munster schools' senior cups, with Christian Brothers having 31 wins and Presentation Brothers 30. So very, very competitive between the two. Fourth place, we have St Joseph's versus St Ignatius. And it's really a true Aussie grudge match. Some reports stated that well over 10,000 spectators are expected at these games, and that two Catholic schools, one being Jesuit and the other Marist, and they're basically located a stone's throw from one another. Although Joey's are the most successful school in AAGPS history, Riverview do not hold back against their old foes. Nearly 150 Australia Schools internationals have been produced between the two teams. Third place, we have John Fisher versus Woodgift, a proper English grudge match this. And it's known as the Croydon Derby, and there's definitely no love lost when these two teams take the field. The battles are not only on the field, but off the field as well. It's very well known that the spectators engage in their own sort of rivalry off the field. A state versus private encounter that is, some see as a sort of form of class welfare, so to speak, and the fixture is known to attract close to 5,000 fans. Woodgift are known to have one of the top programs in the UK, but Fisher never allow them an easy derby fixture. They always bring the physical side to the competition. Second place, we have Auckland Grammar versus King's College, a tough New Zealand derby. So it's one of the world's best known derbies. They're the two giants of Auckland rugby, and they've been doing battle since 1896 and have played over 200 fixtures. The haka between the two schools is something virtually unseen in schools rugby. You guys need to go on YouTube and you need to check this out. It's something that you just gives you goosebumps when you watch it. Now, Grammar have notched up 128 wins against the 57 of Kings, and there have been 16 draws, although in recent history it's not been as one-sided. 64 All Blacks and 68 New Zealand Schools internationals have played in this fixture, just to show you how much prestige there is involved here. And finally, we reach number one. And anyone that follows school rugby, even casually, knows that there is nothing close to the number one ranking. And that is definitely the Pole Derby, guys. Pole Boys versus Pole Gymnasium. This is the benchmark for school rugby rivalries. There is no other school rugby fixture that can compare to this, and it's not even close. The town of Pole is normally quiet and picturesque, but it's completely divided in two for 1 week when Pole Gym take on Pole Boys, and it accumulates. It ends with the first team fixture, which is what the whole town looks forward to. More than 20,000 spectators ran the stadium, and this fixture goes back all the way to 1915. No doubt it's the toughest derby, and at the moment you have 49 wins for Jim and 42 for Pole Boys, but the most interesting aspect of this, guys, is that the average win margin is less than 5. That is crazy. That just shows you how competitive it is. And if you just take a look at the recent results over there, the Pole Boys had unbeaten seasons in South Africa from 2015 to 2017, and as you can see in that final fixture, it was not easy. For example, in 2016, they had a pretty comfortable victory over Grey College, but still their nemesis, so to speak, Pole Gym, pushed them right until the end. And last year's fixture was something to behold. If it wasn't for Kerwin Gertz's magic, I think it would have been a tough day at the office for Jim, but they played their hearts out. And 18-17, there was 2 quick tries at the end by Pole Boys, and I felt so sorry for that kicker. He had to try and convert the try in injury time from a corner, and he couldn't do it. Must have been heartbreaking for him, but what a game it was. And if you guys want, it's available on YouTube. If you think I'm over-exaggerating about the amount of spectators, just take a look at that, the videos on YouTube. So thanks a lot for taking the time to watch this, guys. It's much appreciated. Please do check out our new website, www.nextgen15.com, and you'll be able to get news, views, and information on there. Have a great week further. Cheers. Bye.